Hello and welcome to day 7. Hope you guys had fun on the call yesterday. And as we look back through what we've come through so far, we've talked about the dark aspects of the shadow. First, we put away and protected our inner child for this process. And we delved into the dark aspects of the shadow, the transformative aspects of the adolescent, the beautiful gifts of the golden shadow. And now we get to talk about what's next.
Oh, today we're going to talk about our inner sage. So our inner sage is our spiritual mentor, is how I see them for me. It's that piece of me that knows my truth underneath and also understands the truth of the world. So it's that piece of us that can disconnect from the ego to see the bigger picture and see, what is actually serving us and what isn't serving us without pride and ego and all of that attachment that we often put to outcomes, So if we're attached to an outcome, we can't always see objectively all the way through the process. Right. So the sage is the one that is disconnected from that outcome. They might have, favors on what they want to see, but they just really want to find the truth underneath. That's what they're looking for, is truth. And so we have been looking a lot about our inner truth through this process. And so when we've looked at the shadow pieces, both, the shadow and the golden shadow, we're looking at the truth of ourselves, right? We're looking at those pieces that we want to repress or hide often. So in that way, the sage is going to help us really embrace all of who we are. So, and that includes those, those things that we judge, as human beings to be ugly or not pretty or bad, the things that we're like, oh, I don't want to claim that.
For instance, I know through the process that that there's a self-centeredness in me. And yet, even though sometimes that has a negative connotation, I know that it benefits me in some way. I had those projections about intelligence, about people feeling comfortable in their skin, about people being selfish in ways. And this is time to integrate it all and see it from the perspective of, like Christine was just saying, none of it's right or wrong. It is what it is, and we're going to use this knowledge to start building our new story.
Right. So there's ways that these qualities have served us or not served us. That's really all the inner sage cares about. It doesn't care if we think it's bad or good or any of that stuff. It just wants to know, how is it serving me? And, how can we really get it to serve us to our best purpose? And the great thing about the inner sage is it understands that, life isn't a pretty thing. It is about suffering and joy, and it's about both. So it can hold all of these paradoxes, and it can really help us see the joy in both. So for example, as we've been going through this journey, I've mentioned that some of my dark shadows are judgmentalness and meanness. Well, I know that there's times that I'm judgmental, and as we've also learned, there are times that I should be judgmental, or I could be judgmental, and it's going to benefit me, right? Because I want to make sure that my discerning protector can still be useful. So that piece of me still needs to be able to judge. So, and there are times that I'm mean. I mean, there's times that people, it might benefit them to be mean. Somebody's taking off with my kid, I'm going to be mean. So there's a time that those energies really still benefit me, just probably not as often as I might want to use them.
Yeah. So let's get them into
that's really what the balance is. So what we're going to do is today we want to honor all of those energies, whether they are, we judge them as negative or positive. There's a reason why we have used those before, and we've kind of touched on that in the last few days, why we are using these. So the important thing is that we want to have some type of ritual, some type of really honoring all of these pieces of ourselves and validating all of those pieces of ourselves. So I always like to, either burn some incense or maybe some sage, light a candle, and then, do something that will honor all of those pieces, that I can sit down. Often I'll journal about them, so we'll suggest some things that you can journal. But just to reflect back on these qualities, how are they serving me?
And how can I love both parts of myself? The sage that, that gets engaged when I take that step, open up a space, light that incense, and be with that all-knowing, all-seeing, not about good or bad energy. It allows me to start putting together the lines in a story, in my new story, and I can focus on how I can leverage these qualities that I truly possess to bring my gifts to the world. And so the worksheet will give you some deeper level questions to answer, and that's the beginning steps for you to rewrite your story.
Right. And I urge you just to, like I said, make a ritual of it, set the stage, set the atmosphere for yourself, because it really does help our, senses to get into that space of that inner sage, because you do have all the inner wisdom that you really need. That's what we believe. It's just accessing it, and the inner sage is going to help you do that. So I hope that you discover some really cool things, and you uncover some things that maybe you didn't know before. Mm-hmm. So we'll see you again tomorrow for day 8.
All right.